The air above the Helmand River Valley shimmered with a heat that felt less like sun and more like an open furnace. Staff Sergeant Marcus Rook Anderson's knuckles were white as he gripped the butt of his rifle, his team pinned down in a rocky ravine. Just 30 minutes ago, it was a routine recon mission. Now, with a hostile force closing in and their comms jammed by a brutal static, it was a fight for survival. He keyed his mic, the static a desperate hiss in his ear. Any available air asset, this is Rook. We are at risk of being overrun. Grid is November 6 Echo, requesting immediate close air support. Do you copy? Nothing but the sound of distant small arms fire and the growing dread in his gut. Suddenly, a clean signal cut through the noise, clear as a bell. The voice was calm, almost unnervingly so. It was a woman's voice. I copy, Rook. State your situation and your last known good coordinates. A surge of frustration washed over Marcus. This wasn't a gunship pilot. It was just Brat. The name was an inside joke among flight crews, the call sign of a young, unseasoned pilot they'd all scoffed at in the briefs. He didn't have time for this. He needed a legend, a grim reaper with wings, not a rookie with a clean signal. But she was all he had. We're in a dry wash, pinned by a PKM team and at least 6 hostiles, he snapped, his voice tight. My last known good is a false lead. We're compromised. The voice on the other end didn't flinch. I read you, Rook. I have your position. Stay put. Marcus looked at his team. David, their newest guy, had a terrified look in his eyes. He motioned to Leo and Grace, who were providing covering fire, to conserve ammunition. We're getting out of here, he grunted. Negative, Rook. Brat's voice cut in again, sharper now. Stand down. You move, you die. His team looked at him, their expressions a mix of fear and disbelief. No one, let alone a pilot they'd never worked with, told a Delta Force operator to stand down. Marcus's face tightened with anger. Look, Brat, you don't tell me to stand down. We're moving to our secondary extract point now. Rook, my plan requires you to be exactly where you are, she replied, her tone still infuriatingly calm. Trust me. Marcus hesitated. The mockery he had for the pilot was fading, replaced by a cold fear. He felt a bead of sweat drip down his temple, not from the heat, but from the pressure of the moment. He had no other choice. Fine, he said into the radio, the single word dripping with defiance. We're standing down. A few minutes later, the faint, high-pitched whir of rotors became audible, a sound that should have brought comfort but instead brought a new kind of dread. The sound was wrong. It was too light, too fast. It wasn't a heavy transport or a gunship. A sleek black silhouette emerged against the bleached sky, not a heavy-duty gunship, but a single modified MH-6 Little Bird, its frame stripped down to its bare essentials. It was an aircraft designed for high-speed reconnaissance, not for a hot exfiltration with a full team. This is Brat. I'm coming in hot. On my mark, pop your smoke. Her voice was a low hum now, a steady thrum that mirrored the beat of his own pounding heart. The Little Bird banked hard, its rotors cutting the air with a menacing whisper. As it dipped into the ravine, its nose pointed straight at the hostile position. There was no pretense of a slow, tactical approach. This was pure speed and aggression. The aircraft's minigun unleashed a torrent of fire, a line of molten lead that raked the enemy's positions. The sound was deafening, a visceral symphony of chaos that echoed through the rocks. The hostile fire immediately ceased. Smoke now, she ordered. Marcus grabbed a smoke grenade and threw it, the purple vapor a defiant signal against the sky. The Little Bird, now a blur of metal and rotor blades, descended with impossible precision into the narrow canyon. There wasn't even room for the rotors to clear the walls on both sides. It was a miracle of physics and skill. As the ramp dropped, Marcus saw her for the first time. She was barely out of her teens, her face pale but her eyes filled with a fierce, burning resolve. This was Major Allison Jones. The Brat. The name was given to her by the men in flight school who saw a cocky, confident kid who defied all expectations. At the age of 16, while her peers were fretting over college applications, she was shattering flight records. She was a prodigy, a natural talent who made the most difficult maneuvers look easy. The freshman life of a normal teenager had been shattered the moment she chose the sky over a campus dorm, and in doing so, became one of the most respected pilots in the military. The pilot didn't say a word, just motioned for the team to get in. David, the youngest of the team, didn't hesitate. Marcus followed, his eyes on the pilot, a wave of shame washing over him. The mockery was gone, replaced by a deep and profound respect. The little bird was a ghost in the sky, a vessel of defiance that had slipped through a razor's edge. As they took off, Marcus leaned in, his voice barely a whisper. "Thank you, Major." She just nodded, her eyes fixed on the horizon, her silhouette a symbol of quiet legacy and incredible skill. The little bird climbed higher, banking toward the setting sun, its rotors a constant drumbeat of survival. The Helmand River Valley, once a cauldron of fire, was now a silent expanse, a vast canvas painted in shades of orange and purple. The sky, her one constant, her quiet confidant, welcomed her back. The men on the ground would never see her again, but they would never forget her. She was a legend now, not a brat, and her legacy would be carried in their hearts forever.